Okay, this section is an update to the previous section on aiming. Before I talk with you about the importance of being able to use the edge of the shaft aiming system and how that works, I talked about the fact that there's a learning curve to the edge of the shaft system. And one of the questions that comes up a lot is, what do you do whenever you have a super thin cut shot and you can't aim the edge of your shaft into the object ball? And that's a great question, because once you get so thin, there comes a point where that you can't aim the left or right edge of your shaft into the contact point. And so I've set up a controlled situation here. Got 10 dots, roughly about probably a couple of inches apart here. And we're starting off with a straight in shot. I've got two balls set up here to make the pocket tighter, because I want a really true line of aim whenever I'm practicing this. And so if you don't make the pocket tighter, your aim may not be exactly what you want it to be. You may not be hitting the center of the pocket. I left a little bit of play. What I did was I hung over just about 1/3 of the 14 and 1/3 of the 11. And whenever that you're straight in like I am now, if you'll recall from the past video, you aim the center of the cue ball into the center of the object ball. And you do that with the center of your shaft. So the center of the shaft through the center of the cue ball through the center of the object ball should put your aim right on. And it's perfect. Now as I go further to my right, then what happens is you'll have to look at your aim again and adjust it for each and every shot. Now, this is a very slight cut. So here, as I'm getting down, I'm aiming the right edge of my shaft into the contact point. And that's dead perfect. As I move down to the third dot, I'm still going to be able to aim into the ball here. Now, I like to use this Q-Sight cue ball when I'm practicing this, because it's got a fine white stripe that I can aim into the center of the pocket, and I always know where the contact point is. And as you go further down, you may not be aiming exactly at the contact point. And that's what I was talking about before whenever I mentioned the learning curve. So now we're on the third dot. As I get down here, I'm aiming the right edge of my shaft, still roughly into the contact point. And it's still perfect. As I move down to the fourth dot, setting my control situation up again. Making sure that my line is into the center of the pockets when I'm wanting to be sure. Now as I'm getting down to this one, now all of a sudden my aim shifts a little bit. Instead of aiming at the contact point of what you would normally think that would pocket this ball, I'm aiming the right edge of my shaft closer to the left edge of the white stripe as I view it. from your angle, it would be on your right side. But I'm aiming closer to this side with the edge of my shaft to get my true line of aim. The further that you go down, the more you have to adjust it, but we'll get into that. As I move down to the fifth one, my aim's going to change a little bit again. Now, I'm still close to the white stripe, but I may go over just a touch into the red of the ball here. Just a touch. As I move to the sixth one, it gets more interesting. Now, I'm to the point where I'm aiming the edge of my shaft at the edge of the object ball. As I move down further, the further down you go, the less of the object ball you're going to have to hit. And like I said before, there's going to come a point here to where that you won't be able to aim the edge of your shaft into any point on the object ball. So just like for right now, to pocket this ball, the edge of my shaft is roughly outside the edge of the object ball. Now what I like to do whenever I reach this point is I forget about the edge of the shaft aiming method, and for these last four here, I make an adjustment. At this point, I'm going to start aiming the edge of my cue ball, the right edge as I view it, left edge as you're viewing it, into the contact point. That's the difference. Once I get down to this point, and you have to play with it, like I say, after you do this enough, you will know when you reach the point to where you'll start using the edge of your cue ball rather than the edge of the shaft. So at this point, I stand back here, away from the shot, in my standing position, and I'm gauging it. I'm gauging the right edge of the cue ball into the contact point. And once I get that down, I draw a parallel line with where I want my shaft to be. And then I just place my cue down, and now I'm trying to put the contact point or the right edge of the cue ball into the contact point on the object ball. Just like that. And you keep doing that all the way down. At this point, you're not using the edge of the shaft any longer. You're simply aiming the edge of your cue ball into the contact point. The contact point is the center of that white stripe. Once you practice with this, and you do it over and over and over, I think you'll find it to be the most reliable aiming system that there is out there. I mean, but you have to memorize the 10 different increments down here. We got roughly 10 dots down through here, and like I say, the best way to practice this is to get one of the cue balls like this, one of the training cue balls, and just use that white line there and practice with it over and over and over. And I don't think you'll have any problem mastering this. Now remember, as I'm viewing it, if I'm cutting the object ball to the right, then I'm using the right edge of the shaft. If I was up on the opposite end and I was cutting it to my left, then I would use the left edge of my shaft. And whenever I run out of room to where that I can't use the shaft anymore, then I'm going to go back to using the edge of the cue ball. And from the other end of the table, I will use the left edge of the cue ball, not the right edge as I'm viewing it. But I hope this clears up any questions that you have about the edge of the shaft aiming system. And I look forward to hearing from you soon.